Ooh, ooh.
All right. Welcome in, everybody. It is the Monday edition of Daily Bread coming at you live right around 1:30 on the East Coast. That perfect time to be making sure you always get that Cash App or Venmo payment from your bookies and it ain't going the other way around. All powered and sponsored by the Wise Guys Diamond Club. Be sure to be hopping into their DMs for a weekend, week, or month package for the holiday season because we got the bowls right around the corner. We got the best college basketball slate this Saturday. We do got finals week, so not the best midweek slate, but still action to be made. And we're wrapping up with the NFL. You always know you got the fantasy advice in there as well. If you need a fantasy league stuff, all the best stuff in there. We're live on Twitter. Hit that link up in the title if you want to be featured in today's show. But we got college hoops into the NBA, into what should be a stellar Monday night football game, and we definitely won't see the Patriots defense doing some crazy stuff and seeing a 10-10 or 10-0 halftime score.
Man, it said stellar. What a wonderful, wonderful game they chose for us, right? Just what you want to see. The Patriots with Mac Jones and Kyler Murray being Kyler fucking Murray. I'm I'm so excited. Aren't you? You didn't sound excited. Where's the excitement, Rex?
We'll get there. We'll get there. We got to wrap it up. We're ramp it up.
All right.
Usually by the time this NFL slate comes out, we're usually there. But big for the playoffs for the Patriots, I guess.
Yeah, I mean they're still obviously right there in the mix with everybody in the AFC East. The Jets are there. It's an interesting it's just a really interesting dynamic right now that's going on. The Jets yesterday, man, wow, what a performance by their defense. Still the same issues, the anemic offense and just the lack of ability to make big plays. I mean, they have the pieces, but very seldomly can you really say, listen, a team is a quarterback away. Bro, they're about as clear cut being a quarterback away as it can possibly get. And it's not like, and I hopefully they don't get scammed with a guy who like ends up, who's like a vet that's damaged goods like the Broncos, because wow,
Yeah,
they
this
really.
whole offseason was don't pay quarterbacks across the board. Completely across the board. Every team that gave Kyler got the bag bad. I mean, he stayed, but every quarterback that got paid this offseason, none of it worked out well.
Yeah, it's looking pretty questionable right now, but uh
Matt Ryan, not another good one.
a terrible one. I mean, they both got traded and got paid, right? And kept their money at least. Matt Ryan and Wentz. Wentz got activated from injured reserve. Shout out to him being good to go.
But the playoff picture got spicier yesterday. The Jags with another upset. You got the Lions, who no one wants to get in front of that wagon right now because they keep rattling off dubs left and right at this point, trying to make some playoff noise. And then Seattle dropped the biggest game potentially of the season yesterday because they could have taken some prime real estate in the playoffs with a key head to head that they have. But Panthers came in and boy, oh boy, came out hot.
I mean, the Panthers game was actually pretty easy to cap. No, neither of the starting running backs for the Seattle Seahawks. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Steve Wilkes is still one hell of a defensive coordinator, and he has those guys flying around playing like dogs. I mean, we all knew that Carolina had a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball. They didn't give up any of those pieces for draft picks. The only person they let walk is the running back, but they kept all that defensive talent. J.C. Horn played a great game. I mean, obviously DK Metcalf's going to get his, but he played good. And just the way they were able to pound the rock, Hubbard and Foreman pretty much just handling business. And the reason why we're talking about this is because Carolina is one of my best friends this morning, because they make Thursday night football a win and you win the division situation for the 49ers. And we can literally sit whomever we want the next few games because we're as long as we win the division, we're guaranteed a home playoff game. So that was the greatest thing that could happen yesterday. Seattle losing, us handling Tampa Bay the way that we did. God, it really blows my mind that such a horrible football team is going to get to play in the playoffs, man. Tampa's going to make the playoffs. And that team stinks. My goodness, they're bad. They're horrible.
You got the
I know we have a good
2020
defense, but
NFC East all over again. And then on the other side, flip side of it, the Chargers making some noise trying to get back in that playoff picture as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I would be remiss if I did not speak on, I'm gonna say it, the best team in football, the Philadelphia Eagles. The record looks crazy. Right now, the way
Your
you guys are
biggest thing
operating.
was the team total unders, and then ever since you cashed two of them in a row, they just said, fuck you, so we're going to put up 40, 35, and 48.
Yep. And it's been, like I said, it's been very impressive. Yesterday in particular, you're going against an opponent which they're banged up. They don't really have much at receiver. You should beat the shit out of them, and you actually go out and beat the shit out of them. That's very commendable performance
My
by a
biggest
team.
thing is you get Goddard hopefully back next week. Maybe you don't rush him. You get Gardner Johnson back in 2 weeks. Maybe you don't rush that either. But knock on wood, looking pretty good across the board from that perspective because there's a lot teams with a lot where it's like the Niners because hopefully Debo doesn't have any lingering effects from that.
Well,
That's my only concern.
they're saying
with
high
the
ankle
whole
sprain
thing.
for him. We'll see how that goes. I hope that it's one of the quicker healing situations. I'm actually, how often are you happy for a high ankle sprain, right? That's if the way it looked much
Oh
worse.
yeah.
So just really fortunate to be in a situation where it's not as bad as we originally anticipated. And hopefully he can be back for the playoffs. That's our ultimate goal. And then obviously Thursday goes a long way in reserving that right. If we can just simply win on Thursday, we'll win the division. And again, that's the issue that you guys have. So you guys are only a couple games ahead of everybody else. So losing one and them winning one, they gain a game very easily. It's a very interesting situation for the Philadelphia Eagles. But yeah, I think
13
that's
gets them probably first locked up. So that's kind of where I think we sell it.
yes, sir.
Shout out to Mo. Let's get into today's plays. And then
Yes,
we'll
sir.
maybe get back to some banter at the end. 13 game college hoop slate. Like we said, it's finals week, the best slate of the season as at this point, and maybe the whole one's coming up Saturday. So get ready for that. We're starting off Liberty. Oral Roberts, we're taking the over 148.5 at minus 115. Liberty probably plays with one of the slowest paces in the nation, but Amos is going to make them get running for Oral Roberts. Like this total, I projected in the 150, so take the over 148.5 at minus 115.
Yes, sir.
Our Dons are going to try to look to take down New Mexico tonight. I don't know if they have it in them. New Mexico's undefeated, 9-0. One of the few teams out west that are still there. It's a tough one because the 4 is kind of a purgatory land with this number. I'm going to stay away from it, but I do like the Dons hopefully to pull out the outright upset.
There's also a lot. There's also a lot that goes into this New Mexico thing. I don't know if you saw, but there was like an inter-school shooting about a week ago, where a New Mexico State player shot someone on the campus of New Mexico in self-defense. Very crazy situation going on out there, but very interested to see how the game turns out for sure.
Yeah, then you have the Beard situation tonight at Rice, or playing Rice, so I'm just completely staying away from it. We're not going to get into that whatsoever. And then the game of the night, Arizona State's hot, impressive win, sitting at 9-1 in the season. Creighton dropped 4 in a row, all against quality opponents, so they didn't lose really any bye games. Sure, maybe they shouldn't have dropped 2 of them that they had, but they ain't loses the slouches. That 4.5, man, that seems like bait to me. Trying to take the Arizona State tonight.
Yeah, I feel like
5 in a row. Maybe it's a close 3-point win for Creighton, but
this
I don't know.
this is the problem. That Creighton is one of those schools that's better as an underdog or a team that comes on as like a quiet behind the scenes type of deal. It seems like whenever they're like highly touted and they're ranked high, they fizzle. It's just the way of the McDermott. That 4.5 scares me, but I do think that Creighton probably comes out and handles business. I mean, they're a much more talented team than Arizona State.
Arizona State is holding teams only shooting 25% from deep this season. Creighton, they attempt 43% of their shots from deep. So Arizona 100% has the recipe to pull off this upset against a team that is completely sliding in the wrong direction. Also, from a 2-point perspective, defense, they're holding teams to 40% as well. And Creighton, they rely on Kalbrenner on the inside to get most of the points. Nemhart get creative from the outside. But we'll have to see what Arizona State's offense can do, because that's their Achilles heel so far this season.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm only going off what you touched. I didn't see much value for myself personally in
You're
the
not
college
going to
basketball.
get into Northern Illinois or Gonzaga or Fairfield versus Yale?
No, Gonzaga is finally right back where they were. They're going to be a lovable loser like every other year. They're not good. Timmy, all 7 years of
fake school
college for no
plays
reason.
tonight, Sosa.
Huh?
One of the fake schools plays tonight, one of our favorites. Or two of them, actually.
Who?
Spalding. The basketball. They're playing at Ooey Pooey.
Oh, they barely had a team last year.
And Philander Smith.
Philander Smith. What a name. Philanders. What a name. What a fucking name.
What the fuck are these schools, man? Sorry if anyone's a Philander Smith alum in the chat.
Yeah, if you went there, I hope the degree works when not applying for jobs. I hope it works, man.
NBA slate. Let's get into it.
All right, real quick. Today is a bounce back Monday. Okay? 2 teams bounce back. Also, I want to make this known. If you tuned in on Saturday, every one of my NBA picks hit. I had the Nets money line. That was before they sat everybody. It still hit. Chicago first half against Dallas, that hit. Chicago full game money line and cover, that hit because they were dogs. Today, it's bounce back Monday. 2 teams only. Minnesota Timberwolves money line against the Portland Trailblazers. Came down to the end the other night. I like them tonight against Portland to handle business and bounce back and win. Beat a team you're familiar with. Go back home off this road trip. That's the goal. That's what you got to do. This team's 3-2 without Karl-Anthony Towns. I expect more positive results from this team, especially seeing a team in the same arena back-to-back games with rest in between. If it were back-to-back nights, I would definitely not trust Ant Edwards. But because they had a day of rest in between, I'm going with the Minnesota Timberwolves money line at plus 146. Don't care what the odds are. I don't really care what anyone thinks. Minnesota bounce back. Second spot for a bounce back is going to be the Boston Celtics. I told y'all that they were going to lose on Saturday to Golden State. I pretty much guarantee it. Pretty much guaranteed it. We're going to do that again. We're going to go Boston minus 3.5 against the Clippers. Don't trust this Clipper team. I don't care if Kawhi and PG are playing together. I don't care if people think that they're going to cook up something to handle Boston. Boston coming off a relatively embarrassing loss. I want to say Golden State has their number. I also want to say maybe, it was a bit of an emotional letdown after beating the shit out of the Suns, even though we didn't see that problem with the Pelicans. The Pelicans beat the brakes off of them back-to-back nights.
Mm-hmm.
So in regards to, I don't know about living rent-free in Boston's head. I think it's just they play a style of ball that fits, that just coincides with how Boston defends. They shoot a lot of deep threes. Boston wants you to shoot threes. The only difference is Golden State makes them. And the other teams just seem to miss. Also, Boston playing with a lot of pace this year. You know what's funny? Golden State would prefer you to play with pace because if you're going to match them bucket for bucket, eventually you'll stop matching them 3 for 3, and then that's when it becomes an issue. And this is no surprise, right? The Boston team last year was more talented than the Golden State team. Talent-wise, yes. Basketball-wise and execution-wise, they were not. It's going to be very interesting to see because, like I always, the thing that really scares me when it comes to Boston is that they tend to revert back to that iso ball mentality, where you've had the evolution of both players, Tatum and Jalen, kind of become better playmakers over the last 2 seasons, but it against Golden State, it's they try to make the right decision and they just kind of get caught in limbo. It's just a very, very strange situation. Maybe they can pray that somebody from the Western Conference knocks out Golden State, because I'll be honest with you, in a Golden State series against Boston, I think I still like Golden State. I really think that they match up very well. And then you mentioned Time Lord. I mean, Golden State for the last better part of a decade has been able to play a lot of bigs off the court. They did it to him last year in the finals. I hate to break the news to you, but y'all bringing up Robert Williams. Robert Williams is probably not going to see the court against Golden State in the finals in the event that they were the opponent that Boston has, respectfully. So
that's one of the trends I saw out there today is Memphis after they have 3 straight unders, the over hit so far this season, and in road games in Atlanta with the totals over 220. They're 9-4 to the over. Their season numbers 14-13. So maybe that's a little spot with the total sitting out there at 227.5 in the Hawks versus the Grizz matchup.
Yes, sir. Also, really like the really lean towards the Brooklyn Nets team total. They've been playing really good basketball. They even accomplished their team total with 6 players out on Saturday. Not super fond of Jacques Vaughn. I'm not going to say he's a good basketball coach, but it seems like the talent is starting to kind of like show its face in Brooklyn. We all know that they have 2 guys that are unworldly in Kyrie and KD. Ben Simmons finding his footing. I mean, obviously he's missed some games due to injury this year. Seth Curry has been a beacon of light since he's really gotten healthy. You know, he missed the beginning of the season, but I mean, Joe Harris. I mean, they have a decent assortment of teams. I mean, TJ Warren has also played well. I mean, you know, we had a couple TJ Warren sightings last week for the first time in a couple of years, which is really interesting. So yeah, for me, I like the Nets. I definitely lean towards the Nets. They're pretty good. They're a pretty good basketball team. I think that they're working out the kinks, but I think they'll be fine. Dallas versus OKC. I mean, Dallas at home, much better team. Would not be surprised if they covered. San Antonio, same deal.
I was about to say, oh, go ahead, keep going.
No, San Antonio, I mean, they play good at home, but again, you know, you don't know what to expect from a team that's clearly shown us they're not really in the business of trying to win basketball games this year. So
yeah, the Pacers game I was looking at, because why are we just not fading the Heat as favorites this season? 4-13 against the number when they're favorites.
Because the line's short.
They're 8-18 overall against the spread. But for this one, just so far for the season where they've been favored. Interesting.
Tell me about it. Very interesting. Other than that, I can't.
A very interesting Monday Night Football game that you're hyped to talk about.
Oh, man, am I ever. I mean, we get Belichick against Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray to throw an interception. My favorite play of the night, -128. I mean, a little bit of juice, but I like the play because it's Kyler Murray against a Bill Belichick defense. Even though mobile quarterbacks tend to give that New England defense the most trouble, that would be my favorite play. And then also we're gonna throw an under out there today. We're gonna go DeAndre Hopkins under 75.5 yards. Going to get a lot of man coverage. Going to get a lot of pressure in Kyler Murray's face. I like the Patriots tonight. I think the Patriots take care of business. The money line's around at 130. You're going to have to be a little careful with it. But I give me Belichick against Kyler Murray because, you know, that's not my guy. He might be your people's, but he's not my people's. You know?
Yeah. Is there any way it's a high-scoring affair tonight? Any shot?
I mean, it's possible.
Because the Cardinals seem to allow teams to gash them early if you really need to. So that's just where Mac hasn't been looking terrible.
Hasn't been looking good either.
Yeah, he hasn't been bad.
Yeah, you're right. You know, I'm not. I think my issue right now with this team is you put up 26 points against Minnesota. We all know Minnesota's secondary stinks. Do that on Thanksgiving, then you put up 10 points against Buffalo at home, which to me was the most alarming, and why it kind of made it clear to me that Buffalo is probably going to win the division. You can't get beat by 2 touchdowns at the crib against Buffalo, and then it's you can't give up a game against against Chicago at home. So that's something that it's pretty uncharacteristic of teams coached by Bill Belichick, but that's what we've been seeing. Arizona, they've really not done much to impress me. Both sides of the ball, they've been pretty average. So again, if for me, it's Patriots or nothing. Arizona's not in the division. They're not in the playoffs. Just another season of wasting money on an old ass JJ Watt and having no real guys in the secondary that are good.
So the 2 touchdown scores I potentially like here tonight, and it's gross. Hunter Henry or Jonnu Smith. Henry's at plus 265. Smith is at plus 475. Arizona is one of the worst defenses against tight ends. So their yards, I don't want to try to be betting on those, but I definitely think it's possible that one of those two find the end zone tonight.
Well, I'm going to go first touchdown. First touchdown, Hunter Henry plus 16, Jonnu plus 23. So I'm sprinkling on both, and I'm going to sprinkle on both of those that you just gave because the value stands. The value is definitely there. There's no question.
Because I'm not trusting Devonta Parker or the rest of the wide receiver core banged up. Ramondre Stevenson is juiced at minus 160, so it's most likely he finds the end zone looking like Damian Harris ain't suiting up again this week. So that's where I find the tight ends have probably the most favorable matchup here in this game from any position units against each other, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Also, listen, the receiving yards for Ramondre's at 35.5. I wouldn't be surprised if he hits that. It's his backfield. He is a great, two-way back. He can catch, he can run. He's just very, very talented across the board. I think that the Ramondre at 35.5 receiving is a very good look to definitely lean towards that. So that's where I'm at with things.
Other than that, that's today's episode of Daily Bread. We started off with college hoops. Then we went into the NBA and wrapped it up with Monday Night Football. We'll be back at you live early tomorrow since we got the World Cup match and another full Tuesday slate of action. Like, retweet, follow, sub. We out.
Peace.